We're back by popular demand. It's Season 2 of the Wedcast, brought to you by Film Media Wedding Videography. Welcome back to the Wedcast, Episode 2, and what a show we have in store for you today. Obviously, last week we had Emily, and she was fantastic, so thanks again, Emily, for coming on last week. It was a brilliant show, and this week we have got my good friend Victor Ling from Barker's Photo Fun. He's coming in, he's going to talk to us about all the different types of photo booth and fun things you can do for your guests in the evening of your wedding. Without further ado, I'm not going to take ages in the intro this week because last week's intro was quite long. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Victor and we'll go from there, guys. So enjoy the show. Here's Victor. Hello, Victor. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, James. I'm really good, thank you. Really pleased to be here. Delighted to be here, in fact.
It's absolutely brilliant to have you on. I know we talked a little bit about you coming on last season. Obviously, with time constraints, it never happened. So it's fantastic to have you on. Got lots of things I want to talk to you about today. Tell me, before we get started, before I ask you any questions, tell me a little bit about what you do for the for your side for weddings. Obviously, although you do photography, you're not a wedding photographer. You do more along the lines of things like photo booths. And tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, so I run a company called Barker's Photo Fun. Barker's, as a company, has been going for just over 110 years now. In the sort of on the coastal side here in Great Yarmouth, and about 7-8 years ago now, I diversified the business into photo booths, and we've now got. In fact, I think we're actually the biggest photo booth company in the whole of East Anglia. I've got 17 booths, 12 different types of booth. I say booths a lot, I'm afraid, but yeah, it's all about fun at the sort of after parties, as it were, sort of the evening entertainment.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, for a start, you look great for 110, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Photo booth side of things. So, I mean, obviously, when you think the terminology photo booth, you think like a big, kind of like, your first thought is like, when you go into a booth and you have like your passport photo taken. That's to a lot of people, that's their first thought of a photo booth. But you've kind of like modernized that. It's not so much like that these days, is it?
No, I mean, I call that the classic booth, and we still hire out the classic booth, and it's still actually really popular. The great advantage of it, of course, is like the passport photo thing. It's got a curtain that goes across it, and what happens in the booth stays in the booth, as it were.
Absolutely.
So if you've got people who are a bit shyer, it's a great booth to have. However, probably more popular is the open booth, as it were, and the reason for that is you can get a lot more people in them. The classic sort of, you can only really get sort of 5 in as a max, whereas the open booths, we've actually had 17 people crowded around one of them, and you can see all their faces and expressions and everything. So yeah, a little bit more expanded. And of course, we now go into video booths as well. I'm sure a lot of you listeners have been on TikTok or Instagram, etc., or Facebook, and seen the videos of the 360s where it's sort of speeded up and slowed down and reversed and everything. They became really popular a couple of years ago because BT Sports did it with professional footballers.
Okay.
And that helped get the blokes involved, because obviously it used to be sort of much more women using this sort of thing. Massive generalisation. But as soon as it hit the sports market with the footballers, blokes going, I can look that good. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I've obviously we've worked together a few times now at weddings, and I've had the chance to try out the 360. I think you call it a 360, don't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Said. And I've tried it out at some wedding fairs, and obviously you stand in this big circle. If for people who've not seen it before, you stand in this big circle, and it's kind of like a camera which is kind of on a mechanical arm that spins around you. Is that probably the best way to describe it?
That's a brilliant description. Absolutely right. A lot of people get paranoid thinking that the platform's going to move, but no, the platform stays stationary, and the arm does go swinging around you, sort of about 3 times normally.
And what's good about it is you slow it down a little bit. So as it's coming round, you're kind of doing like, some fun dance with your arms, or, and then it slows down. And then I think you normally like add music to it, and it kind of just, I don't know, am I describing it right?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, absolutely. It's so the the revolution of the arm it stays the same. It's a software that sort of slows it down, speeds it up, and reverses it. And yeah, we've had a lot of different music, some different music requests, which I must confess, a lot of the people getting married are a lot younger than me, so I haven't always heard of the music, but we can always add it in. It's not a problem at all. I just quick look on YouTube. It's like, okay, yeah, I've got you.
So obviously that's come around. So when you first started this, you started off, as you said, with the classic booth. So the classic booth, just again to describe it, it's kind of like one you'd find if you're getting a passport photo. But would you say it's a little bit bigger?
Ever so slightly bigger. I suppose because a passport photo's designed really for one person to sit in it. Ours is a standing booth, so yeah, it's a little bit bigger, about 2.5 meters by 1 meter. And yeah, it can fit 5 people in there. It's it's nice. It's one of our digital camera booths as well, so the quality on it is superb. And one of the things that we do with our photo booth is we offer unlimited prints.
Now I was
so
going to talk
every
to you.
single person.
I was going to talk to you about this. It's basically all you can eat prints, basically.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to describe it. So if you're at a party, so for example, we'll say obviously because we're talking about weddings. If you're at a wedding and the bride, I don't know, has a nice shot with a group of her friends or a family or whatever, and they all want a copy, you'd happily just print them off a copy each. Is that how it work, or how does it normally work for you?
Absolutely. So the bride, so it automatically will print one copy, which we reserve for the bride and groom, or the bride and groom, depending on the wedding. And then if there's however many people in there want a copy, it's not a problem. We just print, and it's our unlimited print promise. So when I said the example earlier, when we had 17 people in the booth, in one of the open booths, we print out 18 copies, 17 for the people in there, plus 1 for the bride and groom.
Wow. So do they get like a little book they stick them in, or how does that work?
So it's interesting. I was talking to a couple earlier today about this, funny enough. So there's 2 things that we don't include as a standard.
Okay.
And there's a reason for this.
Right.
So one of them is actually the book. And the reason we don't always provide a book is because we found that quite a few couples actually purchase books themselves.
Oh, really? Okay, I
because
didn't know that. Yeah.
A book's one of those personalised things that people like to sometimes, and you've been to lots of wedding fairs, James, and you've seen some really skillful artists who've done some absolutely beautiful books.
Stunning.
Yeah. And so what we did was said, look, you know what? We're not going to provide a book. We can provide a book, and we will manage the whole book process for you. So what that means is we'll actually get the copy. We'll get the first copy. We'll stick it into the book, and we'll make sure that people sign it if they're sober.
If they're sober, yeah.
And not scrawl things when they've had a bit too much to drink. And we'll manage that really well for them. Alternatively, they might just want a copy and put it into their own album later, etc.
Lovely. I think that's really nice. And obviously, if you go to a wedding as a guest and you had the chance to go in one of your booths, it's also nice to take, from a guest point of view, it's nice to take home that little fun photo. I guess you kind of like, are they different size photos, or is it kind of like you get like 3 in a strip? Do you do it like that?
Yeah, we have a standard as sort of a 6x4 inch photo, which is the standard postcard size, or the standard photos that people print out when they go to Tesco's or Asda or wherever. And we can do strips. However, we always say to people, this is our standard. If you'd like the strip, it's not a problem. We'll do that. And every single person, without fail, has always said, no, we prefer the bigger one.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
So, yeah,
personally,
it's nice because they can also go into a frame, etc., because you have 6x4 frames as a standard.
So with these, so for example, like your photo booth, the classic one, I guess you provide loads of different props or signs or hats and bits like this?
Yeah, all the above plus more. So, yeah, hats, loads of inflatables, the guitars and the saxophone and the microphones and that kind of thing. Lots of sort of silly signs to do, I'm the favourite guest, I'm just here for the beer, and all those sort of things. Boas, we got a new range of featherless boas actually, because probably more for the venues than the guests. Yeah. But boas do tend to strip off a little bit, so we've got some really nice featherless ones that look as effective. We've got some really cool latex masks which can be really popular.
Okay.
Everything from
Latex.
Obama through to unicorns' heads and stuff.
Wow, I bet they're quite popular as well. Victor.
So for those who are sort of camera shy, sorry, the latex mask can be really popular.
Wow. So talk to me a little bit about how the business was during COVID times. Obviously, we're talking about masks and stuff. Did it affect you much? I know we don't really want to go into old sort of times, but how was that for you?
So for me personally,
for the business.
So I remember very clearly in March when Boris made the announcement on the Friday. I was actually with another business colleague at the time, and they said the pubs are closing tomorrow night.
Oh, wow.
And I went home to my wife and I said, do you know what? This is going to be... I must confess, I said, look, we're going to go out for a meal tonight. I said, she was cooking bolognese. And I said, no. I said, we're going to go out for a meal. And I said, oh, no, Boris said, we're not meant to. So I said, well, two things. First of all, there's no cases in Norfolk that are known. And I said, and secondly, our life is going out and enjoying ourselves. And I said, trust me, this is going to be months, not weeks.
Yeah.
Didn't realise it was going to be years, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I got home, and I also then messaged. I'm friends with one of the operations directors at Asda locally. So I messaged him on Facebook and said, "Hello, mate. Have you got any jobs going?"
Yeah.
Because I suspect that I'm obviously not going to be able to do too much work. And he says, "Absolutely. Can you come in tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah." And on the Monday, I started work at Asda.
It was a strange time, wasn't it?
It really was.
For myself personally, I had to, because obviously the video side, weddings kind of, they stopped really, didn't they? Let's be honest. And then they came back eventually, but didn't come back fully straight away. But for me, I ended up working in the co-op, did something similar to you, because at the time, it was the unknown. Like, when can we get back to weddings? When can we get back to parties and do all these things that we love to do and provide our services for people? It was an uncertainty. And touch wood, luckily we won't ever have to go through that again in our time. I hope we don't.
So do you and me both.
Yeah, but it was a strange time. I was just wondering how that affected you and the business. I mean, did you have sort of many people who'd already booked for you? Or were they pretty okay about rearranging?
So, I mean, literally the 2 weeks before we were still doing wedding fairs.
Yeah.
And we'd had loads of bookings for that year, and what I did was I made a very immediate decision, which was, do you know what? No one should be affected. And we put out on social media that we will give a full refund to anyone who wanted a refund. We'd obviously postpone any of our events free of charge, not a problem. But if anyone wanted it, we're not going to try and keep your money. We're not going to try and be awkward. We'll just give you a full refund.
Yeah. That's
and
really good. Yeah.
To our surprise, it didn't happen. So there was one person who contacted us and said, "Look, we'd like that, please," because they tried to postpone and they tried to postpone again, and just didn't happen. So after about 3 months, they said, "Look, can we have a refund, please?" I said, "Not a problem at all." And I said, "Look, I remember saying at the time, a wedding's something you should be really looking forward to, not panicking, wondering how many guests you can have and wondering whether you're going to be able to do it, etc., etc. So I totally understand. Hope you come back at some point. But here's your full money back."
Because when they did come back, obviously, to start with, it was about 10 guests I think you could have, and they all had to be socially distanced, and it was an absolute nightmare. That must have been tough.
Actually, that actually stemmed a slightly different part of my business. As we talked about, James, my background is photography, and I got into live streaming of events.
Okay.
So I did quite a number of live streaming of videos and funerals for exactly that reason.
Wow. Okay, so you do live streaming as well. Is this something that would you do live streaming for a wedding? Yeah,
I did quite a number of those. But yeah, both weddings and funerals, not to bring it down. But yeah, and I still do. I did a funeral. I live streamed a funeral on Monday, actually.
Wow. So again, you've got various different kind of strings to your bow, if that makes sense. Especially when it comes to obviously the world of photography and even sort of live streaming. there's lots of different things going on here. Also, I was on your website earlier. I was having a little look through at some of the amazing things you do. You're quite an innovative person. I think I've said that right. Innovative. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Innovative person.
I like new stuff.
You do, and obviously we're going to talk in a minute about Phoebe. But before we get to Phoebe, let's talk about the other few little bits we do, just while we're on the subject of what you do. So you've got what's the selfie print? Can you talk to me about that one?
Yeah, of course, James. So selfie print was designed by this guy down in Southampton, and I absolutely love it. It's superb. The essence of it is it's actually a really simple concept, which is any photos that are taken on the mobile phone can be printed out immediately. So it's like the modern equivalent of I'm quite old. I got married over 20 years ago, and we had disposable cameras on the table.
Yeah.
And it's a modern equivalent of that, except for, of course, everybody has a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And you can see exactly what you've got straight away, and it's instantly printed, so almost like a Polaroid type thing. And it's just absolutely. You're not allowed to have favourites, obviously. My favourites are like my children. You're not meant to have favourites, but the selfie printer is so much my favourite.
Okay.
And it's really weird because I'll demonstrate to people and say, "Oh, do you know what? We got loads of old people who I don't think they'll like this." It's like, honestly, they love it because if again, I go back to I turned 50 at the end of last year, and I'm of a generation, and anyone older than me would certainly be of that generation where we used to print, and people just keep taking photos on their mobile phones nowadays, and you don't print them out. But we're used to actually having prints, and so parents, grandparents, etc., absolutely love this device.
So does it? So you take the photo, and I guess it's all done via Wi-Fi of the venue or wherever you are, and it goes into a screen.
No, it's our own Wi-Fi signal that we put out.
Okay.
We have most people are familiar with connecting to Wi-Fi, and our Wi-Fi is just called PhotoFun.
Yeah.
And it's an open network, so you can connect straight to it, and then you just open up a browser, Safari or Chrome or Firefox or whatever it is. Type in PhotoFund / once you're connected to another device, and it goes to a screen. It's just literally there's a button that says upload a photo. It will then go to your camera roll and any of the photos that you've taken during the day. So the way I say this is it could be anything, how many weddings have you been to, James, where you've seen so many people taking photos, the first kiss, the first dance?
All day.
Absolutely. Everybody is doing that.
It's
and, of
amazing.
course, they're taking photos of themselves because
that's the world we live in.
Most people don't get dressed up that much. And so they're dressed in their fineries. I always sort of have a bit of a joke and sort of say, the bridesmaid's having a meltdown that's going to be covered, and the lad's having a cheeky pint before they get married.
Yeah.
See,
I love
people's phones.
I absolutely love that idea. I mean, what would worry me though? I mean, I don't know if this ever happened to you. What would worry me is as the evening goes on, I should imagine some people send funnier photos of various things. I don't really.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, but I would like. Oh, okay. But I guess there's ways where you can...
Yes, we can filter them.
Yeah.
But generally, to be honest, so what we'll do is we go around and we actually go around to all the guests individually and we explain exactly how this works and the rest of it. And there's normally a couple of bags who will sort of say, so we can upload any photos.
Oh no!
And,
yeah.
and I say, yes, you can. However, just be aware. There's grandparents here. There's children here. Do you really want to be that person?
Ah, okay.
And as soon as you say that, okay, get your point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've done sort of 21st birthday parties and all the rest of it, and anything goes, and some of the things on there would make everybody blush.
Oh my gosh,
but they're happy with that because it's a 21st-year-old party, and all the people in that group are 21 or older, and it's a different environment. But for a wedding, genuinely, touch wood, we don't have problems. We've never had a problem so far.
I'm sure though you've seen it all doing what you do, so nothing probably shocks you now. But yeah, we'll move on from that. Let's talk about magic mirrors. Is that something you offer?
Yes, we do. Yeah, yeah. It's really popular for when people have a barns wedding or that sort of real rusticy sort of style. Ours is a Hollywood frame, so it's got these sort of big lights on the side and all the rest of it. Big old-fashioned frames. Really popular again in terms of the older demographic, and this is actually. We've got two booths that do this, but this one will take portrait photos rather than landscape.
Okay. Yeah.
And the major advantage of that is, of course, is that it will show off the total dress and, everything you've got on, as opposed to the sort of more waist above sort of photos. However, the big disadvantage is you can't get as many people in there.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I mean, the thing is, so like if a bride went up there on her own, she could get an amazing shot of her in her dress. But obviously, if she tried to put all her 6 bridesmaids in as well, that wouldn't be maybe necessarily the right option for her. If it was more,
Absolutely.
If it was more for a big party, then maybe one of the other ones would probably be better. Is that right?
Absolutely, perfectly spot on there. We're just actually doing. You mentioned our website. I'm just doing some videos on exactly this, because I think that most people just sort of say, "Oh, it's a photo booth," and yeah, they don't always understand all the complexities of it. And funny enough, because we got a showroom, as you know, in Great Yarmouth, and we encourage people to come in, because we had some people come in the other day. It's actually a birthday party rather than a wedding, but it's the same sort of thing. And it's the girl's 18th, and she came in with her parents, and they thought they wanted a magic mirror. And having seen the magic mirror, and having seen the other booths, they completely changed their mind, because they realised actually this is going to be so much better for them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably why it's best to go and have a look. And I said this last year when I'm talking about various other things. Like obviously last year we spoke about on the podcast. I talked about going in to see wedding dresses, for example, or going to see the cake. And it's the same with what you do. You have a vision in your mind of something you want, but it's not until you go in and then you actually think, actually, that's what I wanted, but actually I think this might be better for me. You kind
Absolutely.
of, because you see things at weddings and you go, I want what John and Susie had, but then you think, looking at it, will that be actually suitable for my wedding? But you don't necessarily think about it until you see the actual product in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. Oh, absolutely. And I think, again, if you listen to, most people get married once, maybe twice.
Yeah.
They've probably been to 3 or 4 weddings.
Yeah.
Whereas you and me, we've been to hundreds of weddings, and so we've got so much more experience of how they work, and we can give so much more advice, because we are specialists in that sort of thing, aren't we?
Well, we live and breathe it. It's what we, especially over the summer, you're more at weddings than you are at home.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in regards to Phoebe, let's talk about her. How did this come about?
So Phoebe came about because...
First of all, who is Phoebe? What is Phoebe?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I should say yes. For those of you who are listening who don't know what Phoebe is, she is a robot. She is a robot photo booth. She stands 5 foot tall. She roams around. She's got she's got a couple of wheels on there, and she will go around. She's got face recognition.
Wow.
So when she sees somebody, she will sort of say, hello, would you like her to take a photograph? Touch the screen if you do. So it's not taking any photos without people's permissions, obviously.
Yeah.
It's got LiDAR in it, which means it won't bump into people.
That's amazing. It's incredible.
If you think of that sort of room bar thing, make it 5 foot tall with a camera on it, and modernise it. It looks a bit like that. It's a stunning piece.
Yeah.
There's only 4 others. So Phoebe's a 5th one of these in the country. You'd have to go to sort of London or Leicester if you wanted to see another one. And so she's got a massive wow factor.
Is she, so obviously you display Phoebe at wedding fairs, and we'll get to wedding fairs shortly, because obviously I guess you probably have some coming up. We can tell people where they can come and see you, and and bits like that shortly. But with something like Phoebe, when people do see Phoebe for the first time, either at a wedding or at a wedding show, they're like, I need that in my life, or that needs to be at my wedding.
Yeah, it is literally jaw-dropping moments. It's quite funny. I really should video people when they do it, because you can just see them go, what? They're jaw-dropping. drops, and they go, "Is that really a photo booth? That really takes photos?
Absolutely.
That's amazing."
Now, does Phoebe have so I guess she's on wheels. I'm guessing she's on wheels, but does she have problems getting through different rooms, or is it quite like the sensors on Phoebe easy to move around people and rooms and spaces with tables and stuff like that in?
So yeah, she's so I program her to a certain extent. So when I get there, I'll say which area do you want her to be in.
Okay.
And so I'll program an area which she's allowed to roam around in.
Not roam around. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with that sort of that area, she'll go around there, but again, she won't bump into people. Because of the LiDAR that she's got in there, so the sensors she's got in there.
That's brilliant. So you can't, she won't be running over the bride's foot or anything like that.
No, definitely not.
Which is great. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, if you think about it, obviously, it's kind of the future, really, isn't it? We're living in now. Obviously, you've got robots kicking around at weddings. God knows what else is going to be coming in the future. But I mean, I guess when you got Phoebe, you must be thinking, "Wow, this is next level. We've gone from a photo booth to a robot."
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the great things is, I mean, as you say, I love innovation. I love to look at new things, and one of the great benefits of Phoebe, from my point of view, is that she's. Well, I say great things. My wife would disagree with this, but she's very, very expensive, which means that there's very few other companies who can afford to copy me on that.
But it's good. It's good to be unique, and it's good to set yourself apart from obviously other companies who do what you do, and people go, "Oh, he's the guy with the robot," and that's a huge standout selling point,
Absolutely.
So, in regards to wedding fairs and stuff, have you got any coming up? That we can come and see you and Phoebe if she's there.
Yep. So I've just had two. Funny enough, we've started that season, the Dunstan Hall, and where was the last week? Last week I was at the Ivy House.
Wow. Okay. Nice venues. Both nice venues. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a new one to me, which is Borough Hall on the 3rd of February.
Lovely. Yeah, that's a lovely little venue, Borough Hall. There's an upcoming one as well. Yeah, upcoming venue.
And then we've got the Town Hall on the Sunday, the 4th.
I'll be with you there at that one. I'll come and see you then. We'll have a chat.
Look forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Then I'm not actually doing the 2-day event for a change.
No. Are you up the boat? Are you off to the boathouse or the one in Beccles?
Oh, hang on. I've got before that. I've got Sproulston Manor on the 3rd of March.
Sproulston Manor, yeah.
Yeah, and probably the Forum. I'm still debating on that because obviously I've got plenty of staff, but it's splitting the equipment between two. But both of those are on the 3rd in Norwich, Sproulston Manor and the Forum.
Fab.
Then it's the Boathouse on the 17th.
Yeah, I'll be at that one with you.
And then Beccles Waveney House on the 24th.
Yeah, I'm there as well. So we're going to be we'll be catching up a few times anyway over the next month or so.
Superb. Looking forward to it.
Which is going to be good. So in regards to, you mentioned you got staff who work for you. So when you go out to a wedding, so how many weddings could your company do in like a night? Depending obviously on staff and equipment.
So far, the maximum we've done on one night is 8.
Wow, that's incredible.
We could potentially now do, because I bought 2 more booths at the end of last year. In theory, I could do 17. In practice,
17 weddings.
That would really stretch me.
Wow.
But yeah, I could do 17, but I wouldn't want to get more than 10, to be fair.
This is. It sounds to me like this is a business which obviously you're going to continue to expand and obviously get more things going forward. And as you said, you've been around for 110 years, so the future is bright for Barker's. That's fantastic.
And I think that's one of the things that we have to do is we have to evolve. I mean, you can imagine when Barker's first started taking photographs, no one had a camera.
Yeah.
Now everybody has a camera
in their pocket,
in their phone.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first took over, I bought the business in 2012.
Yeah.
And we used to still offer in 2012 1-hour development on old film.
Oh, wow.
Sort of things.
Okay.
So if you just think, just in 12 years, how much the industry has changed. So hence the reason, always looking for the future, and always looking for the next best thing, etc.
And that's what makes it such a an amazing business, and obviously you must really enjoy what you do. As you said, you not just do weddings, but you do other things too. And I think, as I've said this before, and I know this is really, really cheesy, but if you kind of love what you do, you're not really working, even though you are. But do you know? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what? It's great. And the feedback I get a lot is that, oh, do you know what? It's so much fun seeing you there. And one of the things, especially with my staff, is that my staff is all about engagement. You need to be in front of customers, getting them using the thing and having a laugh. And if you're having a laugh, they're having a laugh.
Exactly.
Because fun is infectious, isn't it?
And it's a happy day.
You're already into a good time because people should be having fun at a wedding. And so, it's a great environment to be in. We just want to make sure that people are using the booth. I've been to, I've been at parties where you've just had sort of attendance there, or sometimes when they're not attended at all, which I completely dislike. And you have some attendants who are just sort of standing there, sort of looking at their phone or something, and not engaging. Whereas my staff are trained to go out there, and if it's not being used, they'll go out and they'll almost grab people, not against their will, but you know what I mean. Just go out into them and go, "Come on, you said you were going to have a photo. Come on, let's do this."
Yeah.
Etc. So yeah.
I mean, that's kind of similar in regards to, obviously, myself with the filming. One thing that I offer is I do guest messages at the end of my video, which is quite nice. Obviously, you
love that,
which is nice. But I tend not to do it till in the evening, until people have had a few drinks. Otherwise, they don't seem up for it. But I guess obviously with the photo booth, I don't know whether or not is that something you're there the whole day, or is it more an evening activity? Would you say?
No, it's definitely evening entertainment. We do a few afternoons and things, but no, it's mainly evenings. And so again, a couple came in today and they were talking about timings. Our usual timing is 7 till 10, 7:30 till 10:30, because we want people to. It's sort of as the evening guests start coming in is probably the best way of describing it, because the daytime guests have already had a few drinks and are there, and they're looking for a bit of fun and entertainment.
Yeah.
The evening guests will start using it a little bit later on.
Yeah,
you don't want to come in straight away and go, right, photos.
When they've warmed up,
you want to let them loosen up a little bit, yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously, you go in, you do 7:30 till 10:30, did you say, or 7 till 10?
Yeah. So usually, our majority of our bookings are 3 hours. We do offer 2 hours, we do offer 4 hours, and we've done more than that before. And again, we will tend to do it. We'll discuss how many people, whereabouts it's going to be situated, and the rest of it. Like you, we've worked at most of the venues, so we know what area works. And to be fair, a lot of the venues will say you're going to be over there.
Get in the corner. Yep.
But we'll also sort of give advice on how many. So we did I was saying to. We did a wedding event. We do a white label very occasionally. I don't like doing those, but so when I say a white label, that means it's another company can't do the event, so they'll pass it on to us.
Yeah.
And we did a 4-hour booking for them, and there was only 60 guests, and a 4-hour booking is just completely overkill, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if I was selling it direct to the customer, I was at a 3-hour, 2-hour push maybe, but a 3-hour booking would be more than adequate. And so for that last hour, they're just you're not doing a great deal
because they've done it all. They've done it already. Yeah.
And I just find it a bit frustrating. I think the customers overpaid a little bit for that. And weddings are expensive enough at the moment. You don't want to be overpaying, and we really believe in value for money. And I don't. So many times I said, look, I don't want to talk you down, and I want your money, but I'd rather you have good value.
Absolutely. So if I was booking you then for a wedding or a party, is it?
It's your 40th this year, isn't it?
It is my 40th this year, actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, there we go. So if I was going to book you, for example, my 40th this year, I've got to feel old now. If I was going to book you for my 40th this year, would it be a deposit that I put down with you, or do you take full payment up front? How does it normally work?
So we're very simple. It's a £50 deposit for us, and that secures your date.
Fantastic.
And the balance is payable 6 weeks before your event.
Yep.
But we also have a really cool booking system, which means that you can just literally you can log in whenever you want. You have a unique identifier on there, You can log in whenever you want, and you can pay whatever you want. And we had one customer, they're getting married later on this year, actually, but they booked last year, because obviously a lot of weddings they're booking in advance, and they just chucked in £10 here, £25 there,
Nice.
£30 here,
like
etc. So by the time they're actually coming to their wedding, they pretty much paid it off without suddenly, because that 4 to 6 weeks before your wedding, it can be a really expensive time, can't it?
Absolutely.
And you can wipe out your bank account.
It's nice to be able to, again, as you said there, like take your time to pay things off, and I think that's really nice. That's a really good idea. And as you said, once you've paid it, then it's not that final six week rush of getting everything paid, because if you've spent time doing it, it just makes life easier for you. And obviously, and if you're happy to take that from the customer like that, brilliant.
Absolutely. I mean, as long as it's all paid 6 weeks before, we don't mind how it comes. But and actually, funny enough, I'm going to a slightly different subject. We're one of the last things that gets booked a lot of the time.
Okay.
The most important things are obviously the wedding venue, the photographer, the ring, the videographer like yourselves, etc. They're really important for people, and we're seen as an added extra. We're one of the sort of last things to be built, and towards the end of last year, and in fact even the beginning of this year, we've had real last minute sort of things. I think people just got to the we can afford it, we'll have it sort of thing,
Yeah, because I was talking to a bride recently who actually won her wedding dress, and she went into a bridal shop. She won her wedding dress in a competition, and she's like, "Well, that's like some money now I've got so I can put towards other things." And I think that's very lucky. And some people who do win wedding dresses, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but if you have some spare money to the side, you can go, actually, well, let's add some more evening entertainment, obviously, like yourself, or we can maybe go and get a magician, or we can do various other things and stuff that might not necessarily be something you'd considered at the time, but you actually think, well, actually, I've got some money there, and that'd be lovely to have that at my wedding,
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. I mean, we and sometimes, I mean, we got employed about 3 weeks ago now, and someone literally, so I like people to speak to me. I like people to come into the showroom, but because of the way our website's done, people can just literally book online whenever they want. And I suddenly got this booking. I was having a couple of drinks with a couple of friends, and suddenly just got this booking come through. And it's like, oh wow, that's this Sunday, and it's like 5 days away that they booked for. And so yeah, it can be suddenly mad and thinking, okay, need to change things, and need to do this, and need to do that. And I was going to go away for a weekend, but I'm not now, which my wife's very used to, unfortunately.
So obviously, you recommend coming to see it at the showroom. However, can they book online?
Yep. Yes, you literally just go to bookings.barkersphotoFund.co.uk.
Yep.
It will, if you put in the date of your wedding or your event, and it will actually show you and it will come up with what's available and what's not.
Amazing.
And it's very, actually, it sometimes fools people because, so our rustic booth is probably our most popular. It's an open air booth. It's our cheapest, but it's our most popular without any question. And someone phoned up the other day and said, "Oh, we've got ours booked for this day, but I noticed it's still available on your website." It's like, yeah, it's because we've got 3 of them.
There we go. Yeah.
So if all 3 are out, it'll say fully booked.
Yeah.
The classic booth I've only got 1 of, so that'll be fully booked if it's out. But with the other ones, if I got duplicates of them, the selfie printers, for example, I've got 6 of those.
Wow.
So yeah.
Fantastic.
It will sometimes show that it's available. Well, it will only show available what I have available.
Nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Leo. Now I don't know if you know.
This is the moment I've been dreading. I messaged you about this.
You did, yeah. So Leo is my son. He is hopefully one day he'll go into the wedding industry. Hopefully, who knows? It's up to him what he does. But he does love coming on to ask questions to my guests. And the other day I got him to sit down and write all the questions down for the upcoming guests. And obviously he's got one written for you. So I'm going to hand over to him now. He's going to ask you a question, and good luck. That's all I can say.
Thanks.
What's the craziest thing you have ever seen anyone do in a photo booth?
Thanks, Leo. And this is why I was dreading those questions. So the craziest things, I'm not sure I should tell you because you're too young. So there's, I love rugby. and I'm a rugby fan, and rugby fans or rugby players have certain parts of their anatomy which they like to get out on certain occasions. And we were at Little Green Barn, actually, and they had the magic mirror. It wasn't an enclosed booth, it was an open booth, and it was they were all rugby fans and rugby players, and there was lots of items out which probably shouldn't have been. But bride was fully aware of this. Family were all, the whole of the wedding party were very much that sort of ilk, and so it was fine.
Wow, so there we go, Leo. So to answer your question, stuff you shouldn't really know about happened, and that's it really, yeah, so thank you for asking that. So I mean, I was going to refrain from sort of asking you questions like that, but Leo kind of filled in for me on that one.
Yeah, it's easy to get a kid to ask it, isn't it?
Absolutely. So as I said, it sounds like you have lots of fun doing what you do. Obviously, there's moments like that, and again, that's stuff that's, although, you know, it's a bit cheeky, it's a bit memorable, it's a bit of fun, and I said, if the family and the friends or whoever's wedding is, they're all happy for that, then that's, you know, that's one of the things. It's part of the job. You've got to roll with it, haven't you? You know.
Absolutely, and it very much does. You know, we will take it on judgment at the times. You know, if it's just one person being an absolute idiot, then obviously we'll be, you know, ask him to excuse himself, etc. Yeah. Whereas when it's the whole party, then it's a different ball game. Yeah. Excuse the pun.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on today, Victor. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you, and obviously I've learned lots myself about what you do, and hopefully, you know, we'll see how the future goes, but hopefully onwards and upwards, another 110 years, hopefully in the bag for you coming up.
Fingers crossed. I'm not sure I'll be alive to see that, but thank you so much. It's been a privilege to be a guest. I really look forward to this, and
lots of fun.
Thank you so much.
Lots of fun, and I'll see you at these upcoming wedding shows. Just before you go, do you want to just promote your website again, just so people can find you?
Absolutely. It's barkersphotofun.co.uk. It's barkersphotofun.co.uk.
And where can we find the showroom? Is it in Great Yarmouth, did you say, somewhere?
It is, yeah. So I've just moved into some new premises. I'm waiting to sign a full lease on it. So at the moment, the premises is not in the best of conditions I'd like to see it in. However, I'm hoping that by the end of January, I'll have a proper long-term lease. But the property is amazing. It's huge. It is right next to the train station. It's called Vauxhall House.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's open by appointment.
I know where you are. So is that up near Asda?
That's right, yep. And it's got its own private car park. It's a brilliant place to actually be. The positioning is great. And if I sign a long-term lease, you'll see lots of signage, etc., coming up for it.
Fantastic.
But yeah, just need to sign that lease before I spend lots of money on it.
Are you a Great Yarmouth lad? Are you from this area?
No, I moved here in 2002. Absolutely adore the area, love it. Just started up a new Rotary group in the area actually as well, because Rotary is about business people, sort of professionals, sort of giving back to the community. Been really involved with lots of community projects around here. Absolutely adore it.
Amazing. Well, as I said, all the best, and look forward to catching up with you soon, and I hope you have a fantastic wedding season this year.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and thanks to Leo as well.
Wow, that is episode 2 wrapped up already, and it was brilliant. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you again, Leo. The question this week was good as well. And obviously this show is just going to continue to grow week by week. Obviously last season we had the 10 episodes. I'm hoping to match at least 10 this season as well. I've got some brilliant guests lined up, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But next week's show should be very, very good too. So make sure you tune into that next Wednesday. The Wedcast, it is obviously available on Apple Podcasts. It's going to be available on YouTube and filmmedia.co.uk, your only place for wedding videography in Norfolk. Anyway, see you next week, guys. Have a phenomenal week. Phenomenal seems to be the word I'm using a lot this Wedcast. Anyway, have a phenomenal, fantastic week. And I'll catch you on the flip.